Now that the NBA season is finished, teams are quickly preparing for an exciting offseason. No sport sees superstars change teams quite like the NBA, and this offseason will not be any different. One player who will be front and center will be Clippers wing Paul George. George is getting up there in age. He turned 34 in May, but he remains one of the best two-way players in the entire league. One of the biggest questions surrounding him, however, will be how long can Paul George continue to play at a star level? The first team that's going to have to answer that question is the Los Angeles Clippers. It's all but certain that George is going to opt out of his option season available to him, but that doesn't mean that he necessarily is leaving the Clippers organization. Instead, he just wants to leverage his situation to earn as much long-term certainty as he possibly can. The team that can offer him the most guaranteed money is still the Clippers, who can offer him a max deal worth $221 million over 4 seasons. But questions remain on both sides. First, will the Clippers offer him that type of dough? The reports swirling right now are that the Clippers want both George and James Harden, who's in a similar contract situation, back. But those reports indicate that they won't offer George more than the 3-year term that they signed Kawhi Leonard to. It's reasonable for the Clippers to want George on a 3-year deal. By the time that contract expires, he'll be 37 years old, and there are barely any players in NBA history that have played at a max level at that age. On top of that, George has a long injury history and has a good chance to miss at least some time over the next few seasons. However, George has made it clear that he isn't signing with the Clippers for anything less than the max deal that he's eligible to sign. Whether or not the Clippers, who are one of the best teams in the league with their current core, remains to be seen. But even if the Clippers do offer him a max contract, would Paul George sign it? You can bet that the 34-year-old future Hall of Famer has championship aspirations to cap off his career. He most likely has less than a handful of seasons left in which he can play at a star level and make the major impact we're used to seeing from him. The Clippers do have one of the most talented group of players in the league, but they're all getting older, and it's uncertain James Harden will come back. Even with Harden in the mix, they've fallen short year after year, and that's in major part due to the health of their star players, mainly Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi's healthy, he's a top-tier player. But nowadays, it seems like the chances of him being unavailable when it matters most are higher than the chances of him being available. It's very unlikely that the Clippers, even with George and Harden, could win a championship without a healthy Kawhi Leonard. George likely realizes this, and it's possible that he'd rather bet on another superstar that he can play second or third fiddle to in order to maximize his championship chances. Where will that be, you ask? Well, if Paul George hits free agency, there will be a long line of suitors with the cap space to offer him a 4-year deal in excess of $200 million. The frontrunner might be the Philadelphia 76ers. That's partially due to a recent interview that both Joel Embiid and Paul George attended. Joel Embiid is an MVP-caliber player who's eager to win a title, and the 76ers have loads of cap space to work with this offseason. When asked what he wanted his team to do to improve, he made it clear. He wants the team to spend money on talent. And he gave Paul George a side glance, clearly indicating that he wants George to sign in Philly. So let's speculate. If George did sign in Philadelphia, would it be a good fit? The answer is absolutely. Though the team hasn't made the conference finals since 2019, they have some pieces in place to make a serious run. As mentioned, Joel Embiid, a 7-foot Cameroonian beast, is the lead dog in Philly, and when healthy is among the most dominant stars in the league. But they also have Tyrese Maxey, the reigning most improved player, who can put the ball on the floor and score from anywhere. George, as the third musketeer, would give the 76ers a lethal big three that would likely fit perfectly with one another. Last season, the 76ers mainly started Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris at the wings. Both players played well, but neither are as threatening on either side of the floor as Paul George. The thing that separates George isn't just his two-way stardom on both offense and defense, but also his versatility. He's extremely efficient with his touches and is equally adequate playing off-ball as a shooting threat as he is at playing on the ball as a primary playmaker. His length and agility allow him to play multiple positions and guard multiple positions. And while he might no longer be an MVP candidate like he was earlier in his career, he's become one of the best shooters the league has to offer. In fact, last season, Paul George set new career highs in three-point shooting accuracy. He finished 5th in the league in three-point makes, and no player hit more threes at a higher clip than Paul George last season. Not even Stephen Curry. But for these reasons, it won't just be the 76ers targeting him. There are reports that the Orlando Magic, one of the most talented young teams in the NBA, also desperately want to add Paul George. The fit in Orlando would be a little different from the fit in Philly. While Orlando is young and competitive, they shine brightest on the defensive end of the court. Their stars, Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, are both well-rounded and quickly improving. But neither of them have the ability to break down defenders and score off the dribble quite like Paul George. In Orlando, the ask of George would be a little higher. He would probably have the ball in his hands and would work the pick and roll with Banchero in must-score possessions. And instead of having to guard the opponent's best player every position, the team would likely try to save his legs for more of the offensive possessions. Banchero would still be the star and is developing into a guy that would likely be an MVP candidate during the prime of his career, but how long will that be? These are questions that George will need to ask himself when making his decision. Is he willing to sacrifice shots in order to play an off-ball and defensive role in Philadelphia, or would he rather take a chance on being more of a primary scoring option on a young team in Orlando? And would Orlando be good enough to win during the remaining seasons when George is a bona fide league star? Surely other teams will throw their ticket in the Paul George hat as well. For example, both the Lakers and Warriors would likely love to sign George to take a last stab at a championship with an aging but healthier core than the Clippers. Heck, if he wants to stay in California, the Sacramento Kings might actually offer him the most desirable destination. A starting lineup consisting of Sabonis, Fox, Murray, and Paul George could catapult Sacramento into one of the top teams in the league as well. The options are endless for a versatile star like PG. But we want to know what you guys think. Where will Paul George sign this offseason, and which team would he fit in with best stylistically? Let us know in the comments section, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sports news and insights. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.